I know Mark has done three classes on C.S. Lewis's book, Screw Tape Letters, and in that in that book, he weaves an interesting picture of Satan and his demons. He paints a picture of the devil as not necessarily someone who's coming at you head on. He's depicted as someone who's conniving and sly in his approach. Satan doesn't yell, he whispers in our ears. He doesn't hit us with a blunt instrument. He presents to us a helping hand with an offer to ease our burdens. Sometimes it's hard to keep fighting, to not listen to the easy way out. Luann had this book. I don't know if any of y'all have read it. It's actually a pretty good, not a very big book, very interesting. It's written by Admiral William H. McRaven, a former Navy SEAL, and it's titled Make Your Bed. And he's just taken experiences during his time in training and various issues and kind of makes life lessons out of it. And I just want to read this one portion to you. The 9th week of training is referred to as Hell Week. It's 6 days of no sleep, constant physical and mental harassment, and one special day at the Mud Flats. The Mud Flats are an area between San Diego and Tijuana where the raw water runs off and creates the Tijuana Sloughs, a swampy patch of terrain where the mud will engulf you. It is Wednesday of Hell Week that you paddle down to the Mud Flats and spend the next 15 hours trying to survive the freezing cold mud, the howling wind, and the incessant pressure from the instructors to quit. As the sun began to set that Wednesday evening, which is kind of ironic, it's Wednesday evening and I'm doing this, so just want to point that irony out. My training class, having committed some egregious infraction of the rules, was ordered into the mud. The mud consumed each man till there was nothing visible but our heads. The instructors told us we could leave the mud if only 5 men would quit. Just 5. Just 5 men, and we could get out of this oppressive cold. As I looked around the mud flats, it was apparent that some students were about to give up. It was still over 8 hours until the sun came up, 8 more hours of bone-chilling cold. The chattering teeth and the shivering moans of the trainees was so loud it was hard to hear anything. And then one voice began to echo through the night. One voice raised in song. The song was terribly out of tune, but sung with great enthusiasm. One voice became 2, and 2 became 3. And before long, everyone in the class was singing. We knew that if one man could rise above the misery, then others could as well. The instructors threatened us with more time in the mud if we kept on singing, but the singing persisted. And somehow, the mud seemed a little warmer, the wind seemed a little tamer, and the dawn was not so far away. I thought that was kind of interesting. Application for me is, as a Christian family, we need to be the ones to start the song. We need to be the ones to keep singing. Even when Satan threatens us, we need to continue singing until our last breath, so that we lift up and encourage one another when Satan comes, a whispering in our ears. Sometimes it's easy to forget that he's after us, but he is. We find this in 1 Peter chapter 5, familiar verse, starting with verse 8. Be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. Resist him. Stand firm in your faith, knowing that the same kinds of suffering are being experienced by your brotherhood throughout the world. As the devil prowls about stalking each one of us, we really have 2 options. We can listen when he tells us to just give up, or we can stand our ground, confident that we're not the only one in that mud pit. We're not alone as long as we belong to God and we're part of his family. You've probably read this, what I'm going to share with you. It isn't new. But I did add an extra verse from Romans chapter 8, verse 31 to the end of it. And I think it epitomizes what our attitude should be towards Satan and his conniving ways. The devil whispered in my ear, "You're not strong enough to withstand the storm." Today I whispered back in the devil's ear, "I'm a child of God. I'm a man of faith. I'm a soldier of Christ. I am the storm." Romans chapter 8, verse 31, it says, "If God is for us, who can be against us?" I want you to dwell on that fact. I want you to realize this week that you're not alone. God is always with us, as this Christian family is. Never fear, but let us stand firm in the faith and rely upon the promises that God has made to all of us. Let's stand and sing.
For yielding to sin, each victory will help you some other to win. Fight manfully onward, dark passions subdue. Look ever to Jesus, He'll carry you through. Ask the Savior to help you, comfort, strengthen, and keep you. He is willing to aid you. He will carry you through. Enjoy your classes.
New curriculum for the children's education program is available in the media room for